Please go. The panel session will be interesting. Там уже все включається. Як без цього? Пане Андріє, будь ласка, займаєте, да? Один стілець навіть. Okay, I hope we could start. Today we have more better condition than yesterday. We have no so noisy the room behind us, but in any case, I will speak more louder that to draw your attention. And first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I would like to introduce our speakers. My name is Oksana Kisil. I am country expert of Covenant of Mayors Ukraine. We have today key expert of Covenant of Mayors Maxim Vereshchak, who is responsible for Covenant of Mayors on the level of for 5 countries. We have Sergei Vlasenko, Deputy Ministry of Environment Protection and Natural Resources Ukraine online. Hello from Dubai. And we have real good speakers here. It's Svetlana Krankovska. It's scientist voice. She is a EU-funded project representative. It's a panel 3. We have Deputy Mayor of City Khmelnytsky, Mykola Vavrishchuk. And from Khmelnytsky, we could move to the Kovel, to the city of Kovel, and we have Taras Yakovlev, deputy mayor. And thank you, Andrei, that you will participate in our panel session, and you are the mayor of city Kalosh. And first of all, I would like to introduce what means Covenant of Mayors in Ukraine. Small video, and we will move to national level to Mr. Sergei. Okay, short video about Covenant of Mayors, what means Covenant of Mayors Ukraine, and what we are doing in Ukraine together with you. Please. You have an English subtitles. Yes. Huh?
У 2020 році родина Володимирів налічувала майже 300 громад, в яких проживало більше половини населення України. З 2021 року викликом для підписання протоколу мерів єдина лише нейтральність до 2050 року та європейський зелений курс. Тож 198 підписань вже розробили сотові плани дій, які питання адаптації до зміни клімату та енергетичної бідності стоять поряд із енергоефективністю та відновлюванням джерел. Плану дій сталого надіжного розвитку, якому передбачено конкретні розміри, а передбачають модернізацію бюджетних будівель, заміну газу на альтернативні палива, альтернативні джерела енергії, бо наступним нашим роком, 2050 року, енергії, джерела енергії. Найцінніше, на мою думку, що є в угоді мерів, журналістів, так, про те, що це є горизонтальний спілкування між муніципалітетами на різних країн. Нас навчають. Бо ці фахівці експерти, які залучені з європейських різних організацій, вони показують, як це відбувалося, як це робити, що побудувати політичну, технічну. Це колективна відповідальність за навколишнє середовище. Про те, що ми розуміємо, що ресурси виконати закінчуються. Як має цивілізація Європа, країни, міста жити питання. І це наша стратегічна проблема всіх разом. Тож громади складали плани, залучали інвестиції та впроваджували проекти. А ще святкували Дні енергії, допомагали в конкурсах для енергоменеджерів, ділитися досвідом демонстрації. Війна 2020. Війна. Посаду угоди має зараз.
Зараз стоїмо на вулиці Вокзальній, Бучі, де 27 лютого відбувся великий бій, де була застосована колона російських військ. Приблизно 15% Бучанської громади були зруйновані, і станом зараз десь 800 об'єктів за рік були відновлені. Якщо ми дивимося на вулицю Вокзальні, відновлено 12 будинків з нуля, решта капітально відремонтовані, були замінені дитини, були утеплені фасади. Якщо ми говоримо про угоди мерів, то дуже важливо, щоб відновлення якраз використовували сучасні підходи, щоб будинки були енергоефективними, тому що це і економить кошти людям, і економить наш муніципальний бюджет в перспективі. Коли ми говоримо про відсоток повернення населення, 80% повернулися, але часто молоді родини з дітьми, молоді, тому це ще не проблема. Для того, щоб вони повернулися, ми маємо запропонувати які життя, як це реалізувати. В передмісті Варшави, Лондона, в таких містах, як Катеринці, реалізувати в наших містах партнерах.
2022-2023 роки – це часи єднання та взаємної підтримки. Ми разом пережили зиму без світла, води та тепла під ударами ракет. Ми не стримували сліз через атаки на Харків, Вінницю, Запоріжжя, Миколаїв та інші громади. Але світло переможе темряву. І ми ще раз об'єднаємося задля зеленого відновлення України.
Усім міським громадам однозначно треба планувати і обов'язково втілювати відбудову всієї інфраструктури після російської терористичної агресії. Ну, але абсолютно кожній громаді і всі державі загалом однозначно треба працювати на напрямку зеленого курсу. Для Хмельницького проекту до мерів став доволі результативним і ефективним. Ми надзвичайно активно займаємося енергоефективністю. Те саме стосується і поводження зі сміттям. Ну, звичайно, це реконструкція нашого сміттєзвалища, а також будівництво сміттєпереробного комплексу. Але набагато важливішою є навчання і виховання. Якщо ми навчимося цінити ресурси споживання, то побудована інфраструктура, і все це створена інфраструктура, вона тільки додасть. Для мене, власне, угода мерів – це навіть не тільки про клімат, про ресурси. Угода мерів – це про людей. Це про вас.
Okay, short story about Covenant of Mayors in Ukraine. It was a municipality voice, and right now we would like to move to national voice. We will move to National Coordinator of Ukraine, Ministry of Environment Protection, and I would like to introduce Deputy Minister. And please, your voice as government from government level. What do you think? How Ukrainian communities should develop in the next upcoming future? What key messages from ministries for communities? What we need to integrate on a local policy? Should we be only green, or we should to think about more resilience issue? We have translation. Translation. Everything will be okay. Thanks a lot.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will speak Ukrainian. Повноцінне відновлення економіки та інфраструктури країни може розпочатися лише після завершення масштабних воєнних дій та звільнення територій. Проте вже зараз...
Translation.
Full-scale recovery of Ukraine is possible only when the war will be stopped.
Проте вже зараз ми маємо закласти фундамент та задати правильний вектор повоєнної відбудови.
However, we should start planning and minding, shaping our future recovery and put basement of this.
Сьогодні країна стоїть перед масштабними завданням відбудови та відновлення.
Today's task is recovery and renovation of Ukraine.
План відновлення має базуватись не лише на принципі Build Back Better, але й на принципі Build Back Greener.
Ukrainian recovery plan is to be built not only the principle build back better, but also build back greener.
Зелену відбудову слід розглядати як економічну необхідність для майбутнього розвитку України.
Further reconstruction of Ukraine is to be considered as green precondition for further recovery.
Зелений перехід забезпечить більшу економічну ефективність і конкурентноспроможність України на європейському та світовому ринках.
Green transition will ensure economic growth of Ukraine and better presence at EU markets.
Відбудова пропонує Україні можливість перескочити до більш екологічних технологій, зменшити залежність від викопного палива та прагнути до економіки з нульовими викидами.
This is also the chance to jump into decarbonized low emission economy using green technologies.
Втілення зелених проєктів у громадах допоможе у їхній енергетичній незалежності, розвитку місцевої економіки, пошуку інвестицій та збереженні клімату.
Implementation of green project at the local level will help municipalities to make their cities greener, more economically efficient and better for life.
Саме тому пріоритетом повоєнної відбудови України повинно бути не повернення до довоєнного стану, а повноцінна розбудова циркулярної економіки на засадах сталого розвитку з урахуванням основних критеріїв інтеграції та вступу України до ЄС та впровадження європейського зеленого курсу.
Hence, after the war, we'll should recover Ukraine not as it was before, but using new green and circular economy principles.
Екологічний вимір заходів з повоєнного відновлення ляже в основу творення сталого майбутнього для наступних поколінь.
And this post-war recovery will actually play the important role for further generation, which likely will live in sustainable Ukraine.
В цьому майбутньому нова Україна буде комфортною, безпечною, здоровою та процвітаючою домівкою для всіх українців та українок.
And in this future, Ukraine will become a green, prospective country for all Ukrainians who will come back to Ukraine.
Основні принципи зеленого відновлення у стратегії повоєнної відбудови України наступні пункти складають.
The main principles of green post-war recovery of Ukraine are the following.
Наскрізність кліматичної та природоохоронної політики у всіх секторах економіки.
Integration of energy and climate policy in all sectors of economy.
Розвиток низьковуглецевої та енергоефективної зеленої економіки.
Development of low carbon and green economy.
Впровадження екологічних стандартів на всіх рівнях.
Implementation of ecological standards at all levels.
Інвестиційна політика та залучення зеленого фінансування для відновлення економіки.
Green investment policy to attract investments for post-war recovery.
Дотримання європейських екологічних інструментів планування у розбудові.
Using European tools for planning and implementation of green technologies.
Посилення лідируючої ролі місцевого самоврядування, прозорості залучення громадськості та громад до прийняття рішень.
Reinforcement of role of municipalities in this process, engagement of local population to be transparent for the post-war recovery.
Ефективність функціонування і використання цільових донорських фондів.
Efficiency in using of donors costs.
Також до інструментів та механізмів, що можуть забезпечити відповідність процесу відновлення України засадам Європейського зеленого курсу, можна віднести
As for the tools and instruments to make post-war Ukraine recover in the line of EU policies,
дотримання вимог та норм енергоефективності та адаптації до змін клімату під час відбудови,
applying energy efficiency and climate norm and standards during the recovery process,
відновлення критичної інфраструктури з урахуванням можливості декарбонізації та майбутньої відмови від викопного палива,
recovery of local critical infrastructure, considering principles of to be green and decentralized,
відмова від підтримки відбудови промислових об'єктів, що спираються на викопні палива, і поетапне відновлення природних об'єктів, що постраждали від війни.
rejection of recovery of industry companies and businesses which used fossil fuel before, and restoration of green zones,
Створення чи модернізація фінансових механізмів підтримки зеленого відновлення.
establishment relevant financial tools for green recovery.
Також ми вбачаємо основними пріоритетними напрямками зеленої відбудови наступні пункти.
Among the further top priorities of the ministers for the future post-recovery, speaker could admit the following.
Це децентралізація енергетичної системи,
Decentralization of heat generation system,
розвиток відновлюваних джерел електроенергії, це сонячні, вітрові, водневі та гідроелектростанції.
development on renewable energy sources, particularly hydroelectric station, PV, and hydro stations.
Перехід до систем теплопостачання на альтернативному паливі, такому як біометан, біопаливо, водень, геотермальні джерела.
Switching of the district heating system to using new alternative fuels like hydrogen, водень, biomethane and others.
Підвищення енергоефективності будівель і перехід до екологічних видів транспорту.
Energy efficiency in buildings and transition to the ecological transport.
Отже, відбудова України повинна стати високотехнологічною з дотриманням усіх екологічних стандартів.
Hence, recovery in Ukraine is to be based on the most advanced technologies and follow all green principles.
Thank you, Oksana. The floor is yours.
Thanks a lot for key messages from national level. And again, we will move to Covenant of Mayors. I would like to invite Maxim to your presentation. And we just now, how to say correctly? Maybe we will be closer to Covenant of Mayors after this presentation, because I hope we on the same position together with you that Ukrainian must be more stronger, more resilient, and more greener in upcoming future. Maxim, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Oksana. I'm really honored to be here as a speaker, and actually I'm very pleasant to be in such company or team, let's say, because talking on reconstruction and post-war recovery of Ukraine together with municipalities is the key strategy for this, because actually this post-war recovery is to be planned not in government quota in Kiev, but this reconstruction will definitely take place in municipalities. Hence, we should communicate with municipalities on the way how to do it in the most efficient way, and actually how to achieve all of these targets that have been set up at the national level. I'm pleased to present a little bit today the Covenant of Mayor initiative, which worked even before the war on green and sustainable transition of Ukrainian municipalities. Next slide, please. So this actually Ukrainian municipalities who joined the Covenant of Mayors committed to work in three directions. First, to reduce CO2 emission by 35% by 2030, to address climate issues through adaptation project and tackle energy poverty. And on this slide, you can see the architecture of actually the Covenant of Mayors in the EU policies. Next slide, please. This main features on the Covenant of Mayors community. As you may see, the number of signatories is the highest in Ukraine, considering the territorial population of Ukraine, but also considering that the Ukrainian municipalities are the most active in the Eastern Partnership region. So as of today, we have almost 300 municipalities who committed to the initiative, and actually they managed to develop almost 200 action plans. So that's local strategies on how Ukrainian municipalities plan to reduce CO2 emission and address other climate issues at the local level. And frankly, before the war, there are a lot of Ukrainian municipalities were quite successful in this and implemented dozens or hundreds of very state-of-art projects and actually achieved tangible results in reduction of CO2 emission and addressing climate other issues through adaptation projects. Next slide. Since last year and large-scale Russian invasion to Ukraine, even we as the Covenant of Mayors Secretariat somehow amended our activities, and one of the work packages that we have, actually, that the list of tasks that we deliver to municipalities increase, and we've got one more new work package which is dedicated to the this emergency support to Ukrainian municipalities. At the beginning of the war, actually, we were working mostly on humanitarian support to municipalities. We helped with this first needed, let's say, goods and services, organizing some transportation for internally displaced people. We're helping municipalities with food, medicine, etc. But now the focus of our activities shifted most on the planning of the post-war reconstruction process, and now we are implementing a series of capacity building activities for municipalities to help them, first of all, to plan this post-war recovery, which is, of course, to be based on principles that were mentioned by Deputy Minister. And we do see that this post-war reconstruction should make Ukrainian cities better, more sustainable, resilient to climate issues, but of course more beautiful and more comfortable for local citizens. Next slide. Summarizing issues or challenges that Ukrainian municipalities have, I would like to focus on or underline a few of them. First of all, security issues still keep the most problematic for many of Ukrainian municipalities which are close to the contact line, and actually people there have no even normal conditions to live. So that's still the biggest challenge maybe for many municipalities in the eastern part of Ukraine and the south. The second challenge that I would like to highlight is existing massive destruction of the municipal and national infrastructure. In this pavilion, during the opening, it was mentioned destroying of Kakhovka Dam, but also we have such mini eco destroyments in each municipality, not each, but majority of municipalities who are affected from the war, either through the direct invasion or through the missiles attacks to the critical infrastructure, and hundreds of, I don't know, thousands of buildings have been destroyed, and actually a lot of other infrastructure were affected negatively due to the war. And many municipalities have issues which is associated with migration. So some of them lost a half of population or even more, but other which are based in relatively, let's say, safer regions, they hosted thousands of people who left their homes and actually was relocated to the western part of Ukraine. And for instance, some municipality hosted 1/3 of their pre-war population, which of course increase demand on social infrastructure and other related issues. Economical and budgetary losses due to the military conflict is obvious, so I'm not going to focus on it, but this is clear that actually Ukraine lost a lot of productions of goods and services due to the war. For instance, this week, last week, I visited Ukraine Recovery Conference in Lithuania, and Deputy Mayor of Kryvyi Rih mentioned that now city produces 1/3, only 10% of goods that they have before the war. So you can imagine that they have only 1/10 of pre-war production, meaning that they have negative impact on incomes to the local budget, etc. Rotation of municipal staff. This is also a big challenge for many of municipalities. And talking about reconstruction, we see that unfortunately or fortunately, Ukrainian municipalities did not have relevant experience before, but now it is the big challenge to organize recovery in the proper way to avoid potential mistakes that could be done by municipalities. Next slide. Next, what work well in, you may click all of this animation and I will focus on a few points. Based on Covenant of Mayors experience, we highlighted a few, let's say, principles or approaches could be used during the reconstruction, which worked well in Covenant of Mayors. Please click two more. First of all, Covenant of Mayors is well known by this bottom-up approach or governance, meaning that the municipality should be the key of this reconstruction. So actually, and all of this reconstruction definitely will take place on local level, but we should understand that municipalities should decide what is to be done in local authorities. Also, I would like to thank for very valuable and tangible support from the European Union, for which was did for Covenant of Mayors. But now we see that potentially Ukraine is a member of European Union, will need this support from the EU as well. And I would like also focus maybe on demonstration projects. So this is some kind of pilot project that definitely should be implemented in Ukraine at the beginning to show maybe bottlenecks possible for large scale, let's say, post-war recovery. But this is very good to test all tools, procedures, and understand actually how this build back better principle look like, because as of today, to be honest, many of stakeholders who are involved in recovery process, they do not understand how on practice to apply this, how to make building greener, for instance, or how to build or rebuild something in the better way. Next slide. And this is valid points of what we see on which way to do reconstruction at the local level. First of all, we should understand and strategically plan all recovery activities in municipalities, meaning that each municipality needs to develop local recovery plan, which will be the basis for the projects. Next point is that capacities of local authorities is to be strengthened before any practical actions, let's say. So meaning that this will help avoid any problems and mistakes in future reconstruction. Anti-corruption measures, this is must have. So this is like what our international partners expect from us. And actually, this is only the way to make Ukraine more efficient in future. And last point, maybe that the talking about reconstruction, we should talk not about walls, objects, district heating plants, etc., but we should talk also about economic growth. So we should bring people back to give them job, to make local economics running. So this is only the way in which cities could be rebuilt. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. I would like to add some women voices from yesterday's session. We need to speak not only about green, but resilience recovering for future Ukraine. But okay, we will move from Covenant of Mayors to our partner, to other EU-funded project, Apena 3. And I would like to invite Svetlana Krakovska, who is a key expert of Apena 3, but more or less we know you well as a famous scientist in Ukraine. And we will talk about what impact for municipalities will be in the future in the context of climate change. What key challenges, what key opportunities, because if you speak about climate change, it's not only about some minuses, it could be about pluses for your local economy too.
Thank you, and actually thank you for inviting me for this panel. I will be standing, I guess. I will be, because usually I'm very emotional when I speak about climate and about Ukraine, and especially about climate in Ukraine during the war. So, well, this is just to say that it's, I want to reiterate about adaptation. And please, next slide. I guess it was the second slide actually before, but I just wanted to say that we had a similar actually event a year ago in our first pavilion about adaptation to climate change. But when we speak about adaptation, we speak about threat, we speak about, as Oksana said, a lot of disasters, but we will try to do more and maybe use some opportunities as well. But first, let's go further. Next slide. So it's a bit modified conceptual of risk assessment. And here we have actually hazards, which could be any climate actually hazard. We call it in the last IPCC report as climatic impact driver, let's say. And then we have somebody or something just under exposure. So it's something which it could be building, it could be people, actually it could be biodiversity, but they're exposed to this hazard. And then we have vulnerability. So not all who are exposed actually will be vulnerable. So if you have big, good building, which will withstand, everything will be fine. But if you have even good building like this building just installed here and you have flood, unfortunately not natural disaster, it will be flooded, so it's vulnerable actually. So, but at the same time, we can make some response. So response, it will be our adaptation. And the more response we have, actually, the better you will have future. So, and with all this conception, actually, we can, so this risk could be aggregated from different, actually, climatic impact drivers. This risk, so we have, it is compound risk, let's say. Risk could be cascade. So one create another and goes further and further. So as scientists, we understand that it could go like this, like domino, you know, if we have threat even very distant, let's say in Arctic, we don't have snow there, we don't have ice, it will actually accelerate warming, and we will have much more threat in Ukraine. So please next. Well, and it's exactly here. So it's about sectoral. So we have this impact on different sectors, and we speak actually on different sectors. We go about temporal. So actually emissions was first, then some time goes, and then we have extreme events. And it's not always obvious actually that the cause of this extreme event is emission, which were actually 100 years ago. So we need actually to understand all this temporal chain, let's say, and special chain. So something happened in North America, or something happened, again, as I said, in Antarctica, and we have this actually chain which will actually threat Ukraine. Please next. Well, and here it's very famous, this actually stripes, which show different countries. And among those countries, we have Ukraine, which actually in the up. So it's the rate of warming. So we are in really, really dear situation, in fact, with most European countries there. So it means that our response should be very quick, in fact. So, and we need to account for this. Please, next. Well, and with this, we go to Ukraine. So here, some estimation we made in my native Ukrainian Hydromet Institute, where I'm head of actually laboratory of applied climatology. And we made actually estimation for temperature here and for precipitation. And for temperature, we all know that it is warming. What about precipitation, in fact? So for Ukraine, it's different. And here we see actually precipitation in July. So in July, we have more precipitation. So we expect more precipitation in west part and much less in east, southeast part. So it will exacerbate. So it's whole Ukraine. And it's different actually timeframes and different scenarios. So the worst is here, actually. We hope we will avoid this, but we need to be prepared for the worst, actually. Well, next. And here we go to this project, which actually I represent here. So it's about a Panos 3 project. And we were this year in Dublin as a conference about the European Conference on Adaptation to Climate Change. And there we presented actually again this our achievement and our first results for this project. Next. So the title of the project, it's about strengthening the capacity of regional and local administration. So this is exactly for municipalities as well. So it's for regions, but it could be used on a more local level, let's say. And this implemented by consortium. And here you see who is in the consortium. And European Union actually, it's contracting authority for us and financing. Please, next. So we have 3 components, which now I speak only on component 3, which is about this development of regional climate adaptation strategy with implementation plan in 3 oblasts. So these 3 oblasts were selected. They are Mykolaiivska, Lvivska, and Ivano-Frankivska oblast. Next. So actually we have few tasks for this. So first we made this 3 oblasts. We prepared this strategy. So we're now on this stage, and then we will go to implementation plans for these 3 oblasts. And we will assist in approval process for a public consultation for local to implement this project in these 3 regions. So please, next. So we have actually our methodology for vulnerability and risk assessment here, and how we make it actually. So we have methodology, and we hope, and we actually test this methodology on this 3 oblasts, and moreover, it will be its pilot oblast. So it could be used after for any other oblast. So this is the point actually. So next. And for Mykolaiv Oblast, for example, we made this first estimation, and here we have estimation of built environment, for example. So we have 17 sectors, which actually cover not only sectors, but territories like coastal area or mountain area. And we estimate different actually climatic impact drivers, which divided by heat and cold, wet and dry, snow and ice, wind and coastal. So, and for every of them, we estimate actually not only mean temperature, but extremes as well. Because as I said, extremes are much more actually influential and had much more risk. And here we see, so this built environment, for example, sensitive for temperature and for heavy and much more sensitive than for others, for pluvial flood. And then we estimate actually vulnerability of this sector. So the more it goes, so this is the maximum if all components will be on maximum. It's fortunately never will happen. But we see how much of this oblast will be on different scenarios and from different actually these climatic impact drivers. So we will know for what to adapt for which of the hazard, let's say. Please next. And here it's for Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast. So here it's another sector, actually. It's for risk management of risk.
Disaster management.
Okay, it's disaster management, actually. And what I just want, it's the same methodology, but what I can show you here, it's what we call middle scenario. And here is the scenario, worst scenario. And not always middle scenario better than worse. So for risk management, for example, in Carpathian, in Ivano-Frankivsk, we will have more precipitation, more extreme precipitation. So when we go to the risk assessment, we take the most from this scenario. So we estimate many scenarios, many possibilities, and we need to be prepared for the worst, actually. Well, I guess it's the end of my presentation, but I should say that actually for better, we can speak about other sectors and other possibilities. It's sectors like agriculture again, so we can adapt the, I mean, we can make it much easier if we will implement those measures which already actually developed in more drier countries. For example, we can take the experience, or we can take experience for tourism, for example, so we can change snow tourism, which we will not have much snow in Carpathian, so we will need to change to some other kind of tourism. So, I mean, but this information should serve local authorities to make their decision what you expect in next decades. So where to put money? So just because there is another actually possibility, like we say maladaptation, so it's bad adaptation. So when you do something and it makes the situation worse. So with scientists, with science, you can consult and make much better choice for your actually local authority. So with this, I just thank to all.
Thanks a lot. And what's important is that Covenant of Mayors signatories municipalities started to implement Paris Agreement the first. The second one was government who signed some commitments, but Covenant of Mayors signatories was the first in 2016. The next, if we speak about climate risk and vulnerability assessment, communities are moving again first, government and regional policy after communities. But such cooperation on the regional level supports local communities with real high quality scientist assessment, because it's important to integrate local level scientists and national regional level in the topic of adaptation. Because if you speak about mitigation, it's local problem or maybe some regional, but it's not about stakeholders less about stakeholders engagement. If you speak about adaptation projects, you could move with adaptation project alone without neighbor communities. Adaptation, it's about cooperation. Thanks a lot for your presentation, and use the materials, the assessments which will be done by FNS3 to local level. It's really important.
Thank you.
And now we will move to local communities. We have Kovel, we have Khmelnytsky, and we have Kalush. And 5 minutes for each municipality to stress more key inputs to maybe discuss more hard topics, or maybe to discuss more important topics for your community. And just now we have Kovel territorial communities, it's Volhynia regional, and Taras, deputy mayor of city. What about your city? How are you far from adaptation? How are you far from energy efficiency? How are you far from reduction CO2 emission? How are you far from climate neutrality in 2050? What about your city?
Ну, колеги, якщо дозволите, попрошу вас трішки мені допомогти перекласти, щоб швидше вийшло, щоб було якісніше. Я представляю місто Коваль.
Taras represents city territorial community. Kovel territorial community.
Це невеличке місто на північному заході України.
It's a medium-sized municipality on the northwestern part of Ukraine.
Однак, коли був презентаційний ролик у Годі мерів, перший, то міський голова, який людина, яка очолювала місто в той період, у 2009 році, вона одна із перших стоїть, і ми одні із перших підписали угоду мерів.
And actually, Kovel was one of the first municipalities who joined Covenant of Mayors in 2009.
Ну, як і в більшості міст, отримали ми в спадок з Радянського Союзу достатньо неенергоефективну мережу і систему в цілому.
As majority of Ukrainian municipalities, Kovel received from the post-Soviet heritage inefficient energy system.
І генерація, і мережі, і споживання, воно все було неенергоефективне.
Including generation, transition and consumption part.
Однак за останні 10 років в рамках підписаної угоди мерів нам вдалося достатньо багато зробити в питаннях споживання і виробництва тепла.
However, during the last 10 years, within the measures related to the Covenant of Mayors, Kovel managed to implement a lot of projects focused on energy consumption and generation.
Будь ласка, наступний слайд. Ось, і впродовж якраз підписаної угоди мерів нам вдалося зменшити викиди СО2 на близько 18%, якраз за рахунок генерації.
And following Covenant of Mayors commitments, Kovel monitored actually factual achievements within the initiative, and they managed to reduce CO2 emission by almost 18%. In numeric numbers, this more than 33,000 tons of CO2 emission.
Місто здебільшого опалюється за рахунок централізованих систем опалення.
Most of heat consumers in Kovel get energy from the central district heat.
І дуже велику частину генерації було переведено на біопаливо.
And many of boiler houses were modernized and switched to the biomass fuel.
До обладнано когенераційними установками.
Also, they were re-equipped with CHP units.
Та повністю були замінені мережі.
And all district heating network was modernized.
І саме за рахунок цього ми зменшили і енергоспоживання, і викиди вуглецю.
Actually, due to these actions and measures implemented, they managed to achieve such results.
Однак, попереду багато роботи, і ми оновили свою угоду, і зараз працюємо над розробкою нової угоди кліматичної, в тому числі. І тут ми собі ставимо завдання вже зменшити споживання в самих будівлях. Наступний слайд.
However, this is not the end of the story, and city set up new commitments and joined to the 2030 Covenant of Mayors, adding adaptation pillar to their targets.
Що стосується публічних будівель муніципальних, ми такі зобов'язання на себе беремо, і ми вже маємо чіткий план, як ми це будемо робити.
Regarding municipal sectors and municipal buildings, city has clear plans and vision in which way they will modernize them.
В співпраці з Європейським банком, з Європейським інвестиційним банком, і з співпраці з Європейським банком реконструкції і розвитку та іншими донорами.
In the close cooperation with European Investment Bank and European Bank for Reconstruction and Development.
Ось ми вже з ними зараз почали співпрацювати, і невдовзі ми запустимо проект по комплексній термомодернізації 7 публічних будівель.
With this cooperation, Kovel has intention to thermally refurbish 7 municipal buildings.
Також на стадії підписання контрактів з декількома ЕСКО-компаніями.
Moreover, they would like to apply ESCO mechanism to modernize few buildings, and the process of contract signing is ongoing.
Ось, однак трішки більше проблеми з житлом багатоквартирним, і тут нам би не помішала б допомога, і в тому числі і держава, або в першу чергу держава.
However, several bottlenecks exist for the residential building sector, and Kovel would like to see how some financial support from the national level authorities.
Однак в нас є свої місцеві програми, і ми готові долучитись до цього процесу спільно.
Nevertheless, they are not waiting for this support and adopted a few local programs which are aimed to support thermal refurbishment of residential buildings.
Наступний слайд. І в комплексі, якщо у нас все вийде, то ми зможемо зменшити енергоспоживання близько 37%.
And if all of this project and measures that were mentioned before will be implemented, Kovel will reduce their CO2 emission by 2030 to almost 36.5%.
І наступний останній слайд, будь ласка, крайній. Але так як ми зараз живемо в період війни, і наша інфраструктура енергетична постійно піддається атакам з країни агресора Росії, то ми в тому числі і працюємо над диверсифікацією наших енергозабезпечуючих систем і робимо їх теж вже екологічно чистими і менш енергоємкими.
Understanding realities in which Kovel and other Ukrainian municipalities live, they would like to focus on some decentralized energy generation projects in order to make energy supply more secure.
Тому зараз активно проєктується і скоро будемо будувати невеличкі сонячні електростанції.
So as of today, at the technical design stage, a few small PV plants.
І інші об'єкти генерації. Дякую.
And other objects of electricity generation.
Okay, thanks a lot. And I see that maybe climate neutrality commitment is not so far from municipalities till 2050, because minus 36 CO2 emission percent CO2 emission reduction till 2030 is a real good result and good goal for Ukrainian municipalities. Next presentation, and we would like to move to the biggest city. It's Khmelnytsky.
Can I start?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Thank you. I'll be short, few minutes. I'd like just to stop on the energy planning about district heating system, how we how we changed a little bit our strategy, and this is very important because of the Russian aggression, because Russia is the terrorist state that is trying to leave our people, women, children without heating system, without electricity in winter time. That's why it's very important just to ensure that the heating system is properly working for the whole for all cities. Next slide, please. And this is the city of Khmelnytsky. The next one also, please. Next slide, please. So Khmelnytsky was the first city in Ukraine that started to implement cogeneration in in Ukraine, and the first one was in 2002. Then we created like bigger system. Every year we added more and more till the war time, as you can see, 15 units, and they help support the grid during mass blackouts and shortages of electricity, and that helped the city a lot. The next slide, please. So the current status is 15 units. So it installed on the 11 boiler rooms. The total capacity is 7.5 megawatts, and 70% of the city facilities were provided with uninterrupted heated services during blackouts, with those 15 cogeneration units. The other 30% were provided with heat thanks to 54 mobile and stationary generators. That was a big piece of work, but we got it done, and Khmelnytsky was with heating system like all the time. Next slide, please. So this is the goal: 20% use of renewable energy and waste heat in the share of electric supply.
Till 2030?
Till 2030, yeah. The next slide, please. And this is the short-term goals for us. We are gonna construct more cogeneration plants based on gas engine generator with electricity capacity 0.5, and the other one is 0.63. They on the final stage. One is already working, so we are moving forward on this process also. The next slide, please. And this is the long term, from 5 to 10 years, installation of a solar power plant with a capacity of 1 megawatt, construction of a cogeneration plant with an electrical capacity of 1.6 megawatt, construction of a cogenerational plant at the solid waste landfill with an electrical capacity of 3.5 megawatt. This is another interesting project because we are working with EBRD. We've got a loan and we've got a big grant. It's 6.5 million euros grant and over 20 million a loan for the city. We are working on building MBT plant for like solid waste plant, and we're gonna build a facility and we'll get more electrical electricity from there, and more cogeneration units. And this is very important, actually, the number 5, the construction of separate power transmission cable lines, electrical easy to, it's not easy like in the lifetime, but that is easy to move on and easy to change when we don't have electricity, when we have blackouts. And the last probably slide, that was it. So that was about the heating system. This is very important for every city, and this is very important for every inhabitant that lives in Khmelnytsky or a different city. Thank you.
Thanks a lot that you mentioned the importance of district heating system, especially if we speak about climate neutrality. I don't know how Kalush will reach climate neutrality till 2050. Let's see, maybe you have some innovation solutions, innovation technology, or some strategy. I would like to introduce the mayor of city. Andrei, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Firstly, let me represent my community. So Kalush is situated in the west part of Ukraine, and we have the center of Kalush and also the 16 villages that are connected to 11 starosta-headed districts. The population of our city is more than 87,000 inhabitants, and you can see also the budget of other community. Other community is highly industry developed community, so all the questions, all the challenges of the convent of mayors are close to us. Please, next slide. Earlier, before the war, we made other strategy of development of Kalush territorial community up to the 2030, and we have the vision that other community must be till the end of this 2030 eco-industrial capital in the west part of Ukraine. So we must set a mission that in order to achieve it, we must create all the opportunities for the implementation of the industrial potential of Kalush urban territory in the partnership with the communities of Prakarpattia. And also in that strategy, the main value of our community must be a person, certainly, because the human must be in the center of the community. Next slide. Next slide. And in order to achieve such some tasks in our strategy, we also joined the European Initiative Covenant of Mayor East, and also we made this year the Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan, and we want to certainly realize it, and we apply to reduce CO2 emissions up to the 35% by 2030 year. And in the numbers, it's 37,000 ton years, and also to reduce energy consumption up to the 110,000 megawatts hour in year. So when we realize it, and we must be climate neutral by the 2015, I think we'll realize it, because we also calculate the budget in order to implement it. It must be almost 600 million hryvnias. So also we'd like to become a member of the Association of the Climate Alliance of European Cities. We make some report there, and we are waiting for including us for such a good association. Next slide. And there are some examples what we made, what we done in the energy efficiency in our city for condominiums and the 5 buildings, the participant of the program Energodim, and as you see, they made some steps in the modernization, thermal modernization, and now they have the very good energy consumption that was reduced, and comfort living and condition also they are improved. Next slide. And also we made different steps in order to have some energy efficiency. We made the energy audit in several other municipal institutions, and also we made some different steps in order to have some energy saving measures in public. You've seen on the slide, it's a replacement of windows, roof repairs, heating, water supplies. It's such a common steps, but maybe are done in all communities, but I think that with the help of these steps and other steps, we will achieve all other purpose of our goals up to the 2030. Next slide. And at this slide, we can say about the situation in other city after the beginning of the war. In other community relocated more than 28 enterprises, and we work with these enterprises and said them that the community must be eco-industrial community. So the question of the reducing of CO2 is our main question. So they work with us, and also there are a lot of refugee people, and I think that with other enterprises, our relocated enterprises, we achieve all our goals. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We had 6 speakers, 6 stories, but all these stories about more greener, more resilient Ukraine in the future after our victory. Героям слава. Thanks a lot for speakers. Thanks a lot that you stayed with us, and I hope once time the COP will come to Ukraine. Thanks a lot.
And Eurovision also. Ви кульним винен. Так, так.